What's going on, guys? Back here again with another video. This is part 3 to the 350Z drift build, and today I'm going to be doing probably the most exciting part and the least hard. Well, it depends who you ask. I'm going to be installing the hydraulic e-brake in here. I already got the dual caliper kit set up. If you guys saw in part 1, I got the dual caliper kit installed. So we're gonna go ahead and get the e-brake installed now. I'm gonna go ahead and get the hydro e-brake all set up and put together. That way I can figure out where it needs to be mounted. After I put it together, I'll show you guys the way it looks and then where I think I'm gonna decide to put it inside the car. I got the hydro assembly set up, and looking at its size, I definitely think I'll have space to mount it up under here. I think I'm gonna have to relocate this AC control unit like box, and then I'm gonna mount the climate control in this cubby right here. Probably just like self-tap them in there or something. And then yeah, so I'm gonna just go ahead and start removing all this center console, and we'll get it all fitted up and start measuring where I need to weld. The brake is kind of going over it a little bit, like right here. So I'm probably gonna have to cut that little piece, this corner off of the boot. So we'll see what we can do there. Maybe I can just bolt this side in with using that bolt hole, possibly. We'll see. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start removing the interior. So I got the center console removed. There was just there's these little clips right here. There's these 2 bolts here. There's 2 bolts in the, like, down here, but behind the seats, like behind the butt part of the seats. And there's 1 bolt that bolts in right here. So it's just, what's that? 5 bolts? Yeah, it's 5 bolts and it comes right out. So now I'm taking off this boot, like, retainer. Holds the shifter boot on. Yeah, got all the bolts out. Now this boot should come right up. So I'm just gonna lift off this rubber part around the shifter part, and then lift that up. Bam, all comes out just like that. Cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way, and then I'm gonna start cleaning the area and walking up and seeing where I'm gonna mount the hydro. I'm gonna go ahead and put the hydro back, and I'm gonna get my Sharpie and mark up where I want to mount it at. That way I can get the correct mounting position. I'll go ahead and put it in first as well, and just make sure that there's enough room so that it's not going to hit the shifter. There's something you have to consider. And then also something you want to consider is where it is in proximity to your steering wheel, like where you're going to want the shifter at. So just make sure, or the hydro at. So just make sure it's in a reasonable place next to your steering wheel as well. I'm going to mock up where I want the hydro to sit. Here, let me get in the driver's seat. I can't really tell too much from this side, but I'm gonna get in the driver's seat and just see at what angle do I want, like what angle I want to pull the hydro at, just what would feel comfortable for me. Because at the end of the day, that's who it's for. Like, you're gonna be the one driving. It doesn't matter how it looks. Like, what matters most is like how it's gonna feel to you when you're driving. Just that way you're efficient at it. You can drive comfortably without having to think about it. Reasonable distance from me. Let's see. So I didn't really want to have to mount it at an angle, but like the thing is, I really do want to keep my radio. All right, I'm not stupid, but I didn't think about this. So I'm I'm getting ready to start welding. I'm grinding down the bracket for the hydro e-brake, and I'm looking at it, and I look at it for a second. I'm like, wait, something's not right. And then it hits me. The hydro brown is like billet aluminum. I got like a base model welder. Like, this thing is not gonna weld aluminum. This thing is for steel only, and it really ain't even that strong. So I'd probably burn right through that aluminum even if I tried to weld it. So I'm gonna have to come up with a different plan. And I figured out what I'm gonna do. There's a secondary little bracket. Here, I'll show you guys what it is. This little bracket. It lines up with the same holes that are on the bottom of the other bracket, of this bracket right here. So I lined it up where it's gonna fit under the radio, and then I marked out a spot for the bolts where they're gonna go in, and then I'm gonna drill some holes into the chassis right here and then just tap them. And that's just what I'm gonna have to do. That should be sturdy, and I'm just gonna mount it into this bolt hole right there. So hopefully that's sturdy enough, because that's really my only option right now. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys know how that goes. I'm gonna find out the right pitch on this bolt that they gave me, and then we're gonna see what happens. All right, so we're back here another day. I was having a lot of trouble with the hydro install just because I didn't think things through. I was having these issues. First of all, I tried to weld the bracket to the body. Well, I attempted to. Before I even did, I realized that the bracket's aluminum. Now, my welders can't weld aluminum. I'll just put it at that. And neither could I probably. So what I had to do was I had to just tap some I tapped some holes into the chassis of my car, into the transmission tunnel, and then I went ahead and bolted them down. So I put one right here in this like this transmission, like this shifter boot assembly. There's one bolt there, so I put a bolt there, and then I also put 2 bolts through the bottom right in here, and I tapped those holes. So that's all I did so far. I trimmed out my shifter plastic, or whatever you want to call this. It didn't come out good. I'm actually not happy with how this came out. I might try to get another one and do it, but screw it, it's Jeep car. So it fits on there though, so that's what matters. And I don't think that it's gonna interact. The shifter does get pretty close to the e-brake, but I should be able to like have some space. First gear is the only way, and I'm never gonna pull this during first gear anyway, so I should be fine. And then I'm gonna see if I can trim on the bottom of this plastic right here a little bit, just a small piece of this plastic, so that way I can still fit it in its original location. I really don't want to have to move it to this cubby, but I will if I have to. So we'll just see how that goes. I don't want to mess up the electronics in there, so that's why I gotta be careful about it. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and jump straight into it. So I'm gonna have to trim the shifter boot bracket right here where I mounted the hydro, because it kind of blocks off this area right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and like cut off right here, and then another one right here, and then try to get that cut out. That way we can have some space and not have them interfere with each other. All right, so our power in the garage is out like temporarily, so I had to use like, I have these locking pliers right here, and I just use this, like there's this like small cutting portion at the bottom right there. I had to use that to like use it like as tin snips to cut the metal right here. So just trim that, and then I trimmed a little tab off of this rubber part right here, and I just went ahead and measured it in, and it fits perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. Just throw this in there, bam, just like that. And then just get the rubber around there, and it'll fit in just like that right there. Just bolt right in, so it doesn't interfere with the bracket at all. Now what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to go and start running my brake lines. Now that I got this done, I'm gonna run my brake lines through the gap right here where there is no there's no bracket mount right here. So I'm gonna run the brake line into the boot and run it down through under the tunnel. After that, we're gonna go ahead and work on getting this trimmed up right here, so that way we can put it back in the stock location. All right, so I have the line kit out now. These are the brake lines. This is the T adapter that's gonna run to the 2 separate sides of the car, and then here's the main one. I think this is called a banjo adapter or banjo connection, something like that. Just to prevent leaks. I don't know if you're supposed to do this. I'm not sure the temperature range that this is rated to, but I have some Teflon tape, so I'm gonna just go ahead and wrap the threads in Teflon tape before I throw it on there. That way it can just prevent leaks right off the bat. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all threaded up and see if it just still goes on there easily. And then we're gonna connect it up here to this little spot right here and run it through there and run it out the back. All right, so I got these crush washers on here, and I got the bolt right here with the banjo nut, and I'm gonna go ahead and thread that onto into the master cylinder. All right, so I ran the lines to either side. I got this above the subframe, so it's coming out from the top up here. I've got this line on this side, and then I also ran this line on this side over here. So I got this one. Now, it's time for the calipers. I need to remember also that I'm gonna have to go back under there and either zip tie it to the e-brake line or somehow attach it. I got these remanufactured calipers from AutoZone. This is what I'm gonna be running in the rear. Comes with the clips and everything. These things look brand new. So the kit comes with crush washers, but I'm just gonna use these right here that this brake comes with. So make sure you want to use a crush washer. Since this side is fixed on the brake line, I have to rotate the caliper onto the brake line so I don't bind up the brake line. All right, now that I got it rotated tight, I'm going to get my 14mm wrench and just get it snug, nice and tight on there. These calipers do come with the brackets to hold the brake pads, but they're still in the box. I'm not going to install them yet. Just going to get it in place. Boom, there we go. Got the rear dual calipers in. And I'm about to go get a haircut, and I'll be right back. All right, well, I'll catch y'all right now. I'm gonna go, and then I'll be right back. Just got my haircut, looking fresh. I'm back to work on the car now. I'm gonna go ahead and start zip tying up the brake lines to the stock e-brake cable location, and just pull it up out of the way, and just so that way it doesn't get caught on like the drive shaft or the axles or anything like that. I don't think I'm gonna record that. Just it's simple. It explains itself. Simple enough. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the brakes. That way I won't have to worry about doing it when everything's back in. So I'm gonna go get the brake fluid, bleed the brakes, and then we're gonna go ahead and reinstall all the interior. That way we can get it all looking nice and pretty. All right, I went ahead and installed the dual calipers. I just put the bolts in, put the spacers in back here, and put the stock ones in too. So I got the dual caliper set up. I got this little bleeder mechanism set. So I just have this tube running here into this bottle with brake fluid already in it. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and, since it's just me by myself, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the hydro. And that way I set the bottom of that tube inside some brake fluid. That way it doesn't suck any more air back into the system. So I'm gonna bleed this side, and then I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the other side right after. All right, so I got this side all bled up. I went ahead and tightened that. And we're gonna go ahead and do the other side now. All I'm doing on the inside is just making sure this master cylinder stays full. And then just pulling the handle like smoothly and evenly. I'm gonna seal off the master cylinder. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the bleeder valve on the brake caliper, and it should be all done. So now it's all bled, and this thing has a lot of pressure in it. So right now, while the car's stationary, this thing feels super stiff. Like I can barely even pull it. Feels good. All right, now that that's all bled and done, it's time to reinstall the interior. So we're gonna go ahead and get to that. So first you're gonna wanna make sure you connect the clips. That way you still have functioning electronics in your car. Like this car has a heated passenger seat, so I still want that to work. So gotta make sure to plug this back in. And this is pretty nice to have this like set up the way I do, because it makes for a relatively clean interior. Even though I didn't make the best cuts, it still like looks a lot more stock than anything else really would. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug the radio in and start getting this all fitted in place. Be able to get the dash back in. I need to go ahead and plug in these the gauge pods up here. Now I can just go ahead and reinstall all the little screws. There's 2 screws there. There's 2 down here. Reinstall this, and then I can start working on my getting this climate control situation fixed. That way I'll be able to still run the stock location. And the problem now is this little tab right here. I hope that's all. This little tab and maybe this little corner right here, maybe you need to trim it a little bit, and it should fit right in place. All right, so I had to cut out this portion behind the thing. I took out the board, or whatever this green thing is, the power board, or I should know this. I mean, it's cool for engineering, but I can't think of it. Anyways, I took that out and I just cut out the casing, just where the e-brake like kind of comes up at an angle right here. Do this hole, comes up. So I cut that out, and I think this should give me enough space. So we're gonna go ahead and try to fit it in there now with the board in there. I test fitted it without this board in there, and it fit. So let's try it with the board. Hopefully this connector doesn't get in the way. That could definitely work. I don't mind that. So you could see I couldn't get these clips right here under the dashboard, like under this back piece, because it was hitting on the e-brake, but it stays pretty firm like right here above it. And if I'm being honest, I don't mind how that looks. Like, I don't mind it being right there, if that means I can get to keep my AC controls right here. Like, it doesn't bother me that much. It really isn't that big of a deal. It feels really firm too. There's like no play in it at all. Like, it doesn't move. Like, I could definitely do that. That's definitely doable for me. Hydro works really good, or I hope, but it feels good at least. Yo, I'm so stoked with how this came out. Man, I just threw in my second wheel in here. Man, this thing looks good. Like, the interior is basically stock, and just it has a small opening right here for the hydro to come out. Looks awesome, man. Extremely happy with how this came out. I'm gonna go ahead and get in the car and just show you how it looks. All right, with me in the car, man, this is how it looks with me in the car. This fits me really well, the position for the steering wheel, and then it's like just right there. It's not even far. And then all right, well, that is it for part 2 of the 350Z Drift Bomb series. You know, I'm building my own drift car. I am stoked with how this came out. I am extremely excited for finally getting to drive the car pretty soon. After this, all I gotta do is do my angle kit, and I should be like drift ready. Like, if you haven't already, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna be putting a lot more content like this, and y'all have a great day.